me back, mates. And this is part 2.
Part 2? Part 2, I remember that. Oh, shoot, this is already creepy enough.
Monica. From Doki Doki Literature Club. Does that sound like a war game?
Yeah.
It is. Walk out! Walk out, Jake!
Ouch.
Hello, Internet!
Welcome
the
to
Big Game Theory, the show that's not afraid to turn to the right and become the Shadow Monster Man. Last year, I presented
That looks
the single most emotional episode of Game Theory I'd ever done, Headscop. A fake Let's Play of a fake game that, at the time, I thought was retelling the events surrounding the tragic death of a young girl named Candace Cooper. It was in the high part and upper right-hand corner of the screen, but be warned, it is an intense episode. However, since doing that theory, 2 more installments of Headscop have been released. The first on Christmas Day of 2017, and the second on January 4th of this year. And where the first 10 episodes certainly offered a lot of clues and puzzling threads to explore, there wasn't quite enough there to see the clear goal of what this series was trying to accomplish. But now, with these latest 2 installments, the series has introduced a ton of new information. Information that blows the lid off the Headscop mystery, uncovering a deep, twisted tale of kidnappings and secret murders that span decades. So today, while we all wait for FNAF's new custom night to spoil my lore one final time, and while we all hold our breath for Doki Doki's bizarre new spin-off, I wanted to spend some time taking a second, updated look at unraveling Headscop, one of the creepiest, most mysterious, and definitely most unique YouTube Let's Plays out there. A game that, as you're about to see, was literally made to expose a murder. At first glance, the basic premise of Headscop is simple. It's a creepypasta Let's Play
what
of
if the
unfinished
game was
Pokemon
made
as
by
PS1 era
the
game.
murders?
Like the beginning of most creepypastas, a young kid
It's
named
the guy
Colin
that
wrote a
twapped
copy
and
of this
someone
game with
twapped
a
him in the
disturbing
game.
note attached.
I walked downstairs, and when I got to the bottom, instead of proceeding, I turned the right and became a Shadow Monster Man.
For you. Please go to my website on the sticker and also go to Ronet's room.
Just shut up.
Down.
What the flip?
After Paul does what the note says, basically performing the Headscop equivalent to the Konami code, things start to go haywire. Locations appearing and disappearing, disturbing glitched script, characters talking, and recurring theme of dead or abandoned children. It's like the game is haunted. Paul even comments on it himself.
This game is trying very hard to make it seem like there's an entity in it, like a ghost.
Ooh, spooky. It's so crappy. I'm so scared. It's a haunted game. Hopefully Slender Man doesn't come out and get me. Except Slender Man is legitimately a scary character model. The guy in Headscop
And he is
literally
cute
looks
when
like he has a
he's
nauseous
simplifying
butt
it.
for a face. But what first appears to be a simple case of a make-believe haunted game made to get popular on the internet quickly becomes the most intricately plotted piece of game-based storytelling you've ever seen. Even beyond that of Doki Doki Literature Club. And that's saying a lot.
Did that
Throughout
look
the
like a
12
horror
videos
game?
uploaded
Yes.
onto the Headscop channel, we see demos.
It's a dating,
like you would have in
a
any
whole
game that's
dating
left idle
sim.
for you. One such sequence
Oh,
happens in
take
Headscop
pause.
9, where we see the
Take
on-screen
pause.
avatar running on a treadmill.
That game's known for being able to project your real name. I get to say hi, Jacob.
Takes down
Yeah.
beside him. And then suddenly the character stops. Just stops dead in his tracks and stands there. Waiting. Until he finally starts running again. And throughout the whole thing, the video doesn't cut away. While it is just supposedly a demo, watching it, something just feels off. It feels intentional. It feels like there's a reason for this awkwardly long pause. And even more importantly, that there's a reason it was left in the final video uploaded onto the channel. It was a reason that would remain hidden until C-Triggers24 on Reddit noticed that the demo of the treadmill
Oh, I mean,
sequence
pasta?
synced up perfectly.
Isn't Reddit like the god of theories?
I feel like I've seen him in Roblox before. But
perfectly with something that
Oh.
This is what
leads
things
7
would use
uploads
on that
per
door
game
that
each
short
time the
sword.
treadmill.
I think
Comes
he,
down in Petscop 9, a petal is picked off a flower. In
that's a
Petscop
perfect
2,
sync,
she
right?
loves me, she loves me not. Running on the treadmill, and stop. These two moments, completely disconnected in sequence and upload date, share a commonality. The treadmill counting down the petals of a flower. A flower that, when picked completely clean, gives you access to this deformed girl trapped in the basement of a nearby shack. But clearly this just had to be a coincidence, right? Two
No.
unrelated events in the game that just so happen to share a random pattern of timing. Not at all. But we wouldn't know it for sure until the most recent uploads of the series. In Petscop 10, we watched the on-screen avatar wander around a section of the game map labeled the Quitter's Room, a room separated into two mirrored paths. After about 30 seconds of exploring, we teleport away. Nothing too exciting, right? Just a typical mirrored puzzle room like you see in most any other game. And that's the way most people perceived it until the most recent upload in the series, video 12, when suddenly we're on the other side of the mirror, reenacting
Who is
those
that?
exact same 30 seconds.
Who was that?
Them. Him. From
You know,
10.
that was Pyramid Head on the left side. Dun dun dun.
Of movement. It's yet another instance of perfect synchronization. Except this time, when we look to the other side of the mirror where we used to be, it's no longer our avatar, but instead, Pyramid Head? What is this, a Silent Hill game? Yo-yo! And the synchronizations don't stop there. They even exist within the same video. Petscop 11 has a perfect sync down to the waveform of Paul's voice speaking. First at 11 minutes into the video, and then again at 16 minutes. Overlay the two, and you can see that even the tiniest movements of the on-screen avatar match up perfectly.
Ain't that
But what
creepy?
does all of it mean? Synchronizations and haunted games and demo sequences are all well and good, but it has to amount to something. So, what is the story that this game is trying to tell us? Well, as you might be sensing already, a full exploration into Petscop can get very good, very complicated, very quickly. In all seriousness, if I were to cover every detail in this game's story, I would be sitting here discussing with you who does and doesn't have eyebrows. That, no exaggeration, of all things, is the crucial detail in this whole story. It's silly, in the same way dissecting the difference between Withered Foxy and Phantom Foxy is. Technically, they're both the same thing. But when you strip away all of these excess details, at its core, Petscop boils down to the tale of two men. A murderer and the man who's out to punish him for his crimes. Marvin versus Rainer. One, a killer and child abuser. The shadow monster man that was warned about in the note attached to this game. And the other, the creator of Petscop. The good guy trying to use this game as a means of avenging his brother's death. Now, that's a lot to unpack, so let's start working our way through this. First, we know that this is a battle between these two characters in particular based on a few crucial letters that are hidden throughout the series. The first appears in Petscop 9. Well, you must have guessed, but I was looking through your thing. I found that picture of you from 1977, standing in front of an old windmill with your friend. You went there, and it was a bad idea. Your friend and the windmill both disappeared into thin air. Her sister was holding the camera. She took another picture minutes later. Just you, no windmill, and no friend. You married her sister, and years later, your friend was reborn as your daughter. Your wife won't admit this is true, but I know it because I found the evidence. Your friend never returned with you, and the windmill was gone. I went to see it myself. Where is it? What did you do? The letter is signed, Rainer. Based on this letter, we know a few things. First, that the character Rainer has a bad case of the pronoun game. She, you, her, your friend. Use a freaking proper noun once in a while. Like 3/4 of the mystery of this game is just figuring out who's talking to who at any given point in time. Anyway, more importantly, we see that Rainer's already discovering some secret of a crime that the recipient of the letter wants to keep hidden. We learn that the story of Petscop truly begins back in 1977, when Marvin, that's the you being addressed here, takes the two ladies to a windmill, but only one comes back alive. The sister, who he ends up marrying. And if there was any confusion about any of the events described in that letter, later in Petscop 9, we actually flash back to 1977 to see what exactly happens in that windmill. We first see the player avatar descend the stairs, and instead of continuing forward to load the new screen, turn to the right. This glitches out the game, and he becomes the Shadow Monster Man, just like the note we mentioned earlier that was attached to the game said would happen. And as the monster, we're able to access the windmill. It is the only time that the windmill is physically accessible in the game. Inside of it, we see a girl spinning atop the gears, and Marvin, as the Shadow Monster Man, plunging this white tool towards her. It seems like the game's implying that he killed her, because after the screen cuts away in that moment and then fades back up, the girl is gone, and you've gotten points for your monstrous actions. But to further confirm what we just saw, read deeper into Raynor's notes. He accuses your friend was reborn as your daughter. And indeed she was, as those same facial features that we see on the girl in the windmill reappear on the character Cam. Though she loves me not, Flower Girl that we rescue from the basement of the shack that I mentioned earlier. The girl with no eyebrows. I told you the eyebrows were important in all this. That establishes that Cam is Marvin's daughter. But why would Raynor be digging around in Marvin's past? Well, the answer is actually kind of tragic. Because 17 years after the windmill incident in 1995, Marvin would kidnap and abuse Raynor's brother, Michael Hammond, pushing him to the point of suicide. We know this based on another letter found from Raynor in the game. Quote, when the emergency began, you were all looking for Care A. I told you all we would never find Care A. When Care A goes missing, she goes missing forever. My brother didn't want us to find him because he knew we were all looking for Michael A. I'm back. This is my present for you. I started it in 1996 for Marvin. If you think they're worth any effort, see if you can save Care B or Care NLM. Care B is in the school, of course. Merry Christmas. Check your bathroom, Nicole. Raynor. Notice that Raynor specifically says, my brother, Michael A. Now, the only other Michael that we see in the game is the grave of Michael Hammond. A gift. The dead kid, as Paul so delicately describes it. But I hear you asking, Michael Hammond, wouldn't that be Michael H? He just said his brother would be Michael A. And yeah, I totally see how that's confusing, but let me explain. In the world of Petscop, kids have three forms. A form, when they're loved and happy. B form, when they're sad, scared, or something bad has happened to them. And NLM, short for Nobody Loves Me, when they've been completely wrecked on an emotional level. When Raynor says, my brother didn't want us to find him because he knew we were all looking for Michael A, it means that Michael went missing and didn't want to be found because he was emotionally scarred. The family searching for him was still expecting the pre-emergency Michael, the happy one, the loving one. But because of whatever tragedy befell him during this emergency, he couldn't go back. He had become until next week, since, oh boy, when you think about it, we've covered a lot of territory. That is a lot of information to unpack in this very obscure series. So I encourage you, now that you're done with this video, go back and watch the Petscop series again with this information in mind. And make sure you watch this theory one more time so everything's crystal clear. That way, next week you'll be fully prepared as we wrap up the Petscop mystery. Now that we know who the main players are of Raynor, Marvin, Mike, and Care, what is Marvin doing to these kids? Why did Raynor make the game of Petscop for him? What's with all this creepy real-life imagery that's hidden in the game's loading screens? And most importantly of all, when can we expect the next installment of the series? Spoiler alert, it might be a while. But you know what won't take a while? Unraveling the mystery of it all next week. So make sure you capture that subscribe button you see on screen to ensure that you're here to help us decode YouTube's biggest Let's Play mystery. And by doing that, you'll be seriously helping us hit that all-important 10 million subscriber mark. It'll be a huge milestone for the channel and this community. It would be incredible. And in the meantime, remember, that's just a theory.
See, suppose it's
That
solid.
was weird. I could have sworn I put an end card there. Thanks for...
Okay, on to the last one.
Yep. And we're still waiting for Gummy to dethaw. She makes a very loud sound when she's dropped, like this.
When can we expect the next installment of the series? Spoiler alert, it might be a while.
Don't you want to read the next day?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Hello, Internet, welcome to Game Theory, where last time we began unraveling the puzzle that is Petscop. To make sure everything is clear, let me quickly summarize our findings from last time in the form of a timeline. So the story begins in 1977 when a dude rocking some sick eyebrows named Marvin takes his female friend and her sister to a windmill, as you do. The friend, who's named Tiara, is killed by Marvin. Marvin then goes on to marry Tiara's sister, a woman who would eventually come to fear him. So clearly Marvin is set up to be our bad guy. Now, fast forward the story 11 years to 1988, when we know our next key character gets born, Michael Hammond. We know this based on his gravestone. He eventually disappears, kidnapped and abused by Marvin, leading
That's
to
the
his
year my mom
premature
was
death
born,
at the age of
1988.
7 in 1995. In the aftermath of Michael's death, his older brother Rainer starts developing the game Petscop in 1996, which he specifically says is, quote, for Marvin. It's a game that he would complete a year later in 1997, as evidenced by the copyright date on the game's start screen. Around the same time, June 5th, 1997, Marvin kidnaps his own daughter, Care, a girl who bears a striking resemblance to Tiara, Marvin's first victim back at the windmill 20 years earlier. 8 days after Care's kidnapping on June 13th, a note appears on a copy of the game Petscop that reveals a password, which unlocks a hidden game buried under the surface that seems to expose all of Marvin's crimes. And that is where we left off, a battle between Rainer, the creator of Petscop, and Marvin, the serial kidnapper slash murderer. But this still leaves us with a ton of unanswered questions. Why would Marvin kidnap his own daughter? What is he actually doing to any of these kids? Why would Rainer create a video game of all things to catch the killer? And how does all of this relate to the videos that we're watching and our Let's Player Paul? So pluck those eyebrows, ladies and gentlemen, and watch out for any stray windmills, because today
I know
we're
how to
putting
do
the
it
final
myself.
touches on one of YouTube's longest and creepiest Let's Plays. Let's start today by taking a closer look at Marvin. Coming off of the last episode, I saw a lot of people asking why he would kidnap his own daughter, but you honestly needn't look any further than episode 11 to find your answer. In episode 11, we watch as Paul unlocks a
Frozen house.
Marvin's house that we're told was captured at 3 different points in time. And we can tell exactly when those moments are based on calendars found posted on the wall. Now, they don't specifically specify the year, but we can actually see how the dates align with the days of the week and extrapolate the year from that information. The first has Christmas falling on a Thursday, which, by checking past years, we know happened back in 1997, which just so happens to be the year of Care's kidnapping. The episode makes
Whoever made data is stupid. We should just be able to browse data. Well, we should just be able to browse without any limits and no building crap.
You paid for that, did.
Yeah, that's stupid. We shouldn't be able to have to pay for stuff that we shouldn't read. Oh, we're suddenly offline.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
What?
I'm putting this ice up to on your phone.
Huh?
I'm putting this ice to on your phone.
Wait, what? No. What? Why?
Why? To get that reaction.
My phone. No, help me! I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Find your shoulders at my throat. Oh man.
Why do you always make that reaction when I hug you?
No, because literally your shoulder was pressing on one of my things.
Papa, we'll be back later.